What was my other question for you? Oh, I was gonna try to the video from Friday.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. Okay.
If you go to White Rock Yoga, it's a
Okay.
channel,
Okay.
and you don't have to have a password or anything.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I can put it on a Dropbox folder if you want to, but I think you can pull it. See if you can.
I should be able to get it off YouTube.
You should be able to download
Right.
it. But there's Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Mary's hair is getting so long. Eileen is with us. Lele's here. Jill is here. Michelle is back in town, but we don't know if she's making it.
Jill.
Jill's look was like, I don't know what to do with her. Right. Right. Yeah. How's her knee doing? Right. It's like Jerry. You see Jerry here, right? He's like, I fell on Friday and I don't feel good. So now I told him, see, we're at that age that the doctors asked, like when I went to have my checkup, and the checkup for the referral for my eye surgery, they ask you, have you fallen? You know, I say, Jerry, you have to put it down too. He says, I'm not putting it down.
His face made me laugh so hard inside, I almost did a cough. He was like,
now he lets me hug him. But on Friday, or Thursday, whenever he fell, Thursday, I guess, Friday, I can't remember. He was rushing to get out the door, and he had his mask on, the glasses, and you know, the mask and the glasses and then they fog up, and then you're trying to take the mask off, and he just didn't see this. It wasn't like a step or anything. Of course, when one of our first dates, he fell off the curb. You know, he didn't fall down, but he stumbled. Yeah, right. Distracted. That's what he always says. I'm distracted. It's like, yeah, but life kind of distracts you, you know. He's like a Mr. Magoo, you know, he's like that sort of sweet guy, but he will run you off the road. He just doesn't know he did. He says, well, I didn't know. It's like, our life is kind of like a cartoon show. Yeah. All right. So if you guys have a wall there, so that's good. We'll work on some things today. Give it a minute. I think we're but
like a minute or two split.
It does, and it's now 10:30. So so Jill, we'll give Michelle a minute or two, and then you can or you can lock the door now if you want to, because Debbie's always on time, and we'll just shut them down. Oh, I'm a little sore and stiff today.
I texted her and called her and got no response to either, and I checked her last night, so I know she didn't party.
She's ghosting you. All right. So how are you guys doing at home, Sherry and Mary and Eileen? I miss you guys, but it's so great to have you here. Yeah, you get to hug your kitty. My kitty always comes when I'm trying to do yoga at home and just plops down on the mat and then bites me if I want to move him. So there's that. That's right. Yoga at home. We should write a little blog on that. I'm sure people have. We could probably check it out. So let's begin. You guys can hear me okay? Did I turn this on? I don't even remember. It sounds like if I talk really soft, you can still hear me. Yep. Okay. All right, let's begin. Take a good seat. Oh, whatever that is for you. I am really stiff this morning. Take a few breaths. Settle into the breath. And scan the body, starting with the physical body. Noting every little old or new ache, pain, issue. Or you might feel great. I think Lele just did 20 miles biking around the lake twice. And then begin to drop into the subtle body. It usually happens naturally as you scan the physical body. Then after the mind kind of does that, it begins to drop into the subtle body, the energy body. How are you feeling? What is the relationship between your physical body and your energy body? And this practice is another way of staying in the present moment. There's that saying, of course, now it's kind of arcane or old fashioned because we don't gather anymore, but the saying of you must be present to win feels like ancient times, doesn't it? When we were all together and hearing those things at a gathering. But I love that phrase because thinking of it in yogic terms, to be present, to be fully present, means you win. And that's no small thing, being present. And I remember someone asked me a long, long time ago, it's like, what, you want me to be present every single moment? Like, no, it's impossible, first of all, except for some adepts. Like, I think people like the Dalai Lama, people who have spent a lifetime practicing, are present more often, way more often than we mere mortals who live our daily lives and take care of people and do all the things we do. It's kind of impossible. But the more we practice, the better it is, the more we win. And what do we win? It's a good question. It depends. So if I'm present when I'm driving, well, I win by not having an accident. That's one thing. I win by not making things more dangerous for other people because I'm fully present. We've all been driving before and then not remembering the choices we made to get where we went, or we took a completely different turn because we were used to going to this person's house, but we weren't doing that. So we get on autopilot a lot. And that's normal and that's okay. We need to do some of that. We can't think about everything consciously, but it's that notion of spending some time during the day and just bringing yourself back into the present moment, if only at the stoplight. Maybe while doing the dishes, fully thinking about each dish that passes through your hands. Fully present in conversation. Sometimes I find myself wandering off, and then bring yourself back in and be fully present. So draw your palms together in front of your heart center. And when we practice living in the present moment, we commit an act of true courage. Courage being a word coming from the heart, moving into the heart, from the heart. And we recognize who we are. We begin to come back into ourselves and notice that we are creatures of joy, wellness, and intelligence. Let's chant Om one soft time. Inhale, exhale, cleansing. Inhale to Om. Release your hands, flutter your eyes open. Let's meet on the mat, hands and knees. Yeah, my round mat. Begin to make cat-cow, big, small, circles. You know the drill. You guys have done this with me a lot, so let's just play in it and be fully present in the moment. So, you know, when we have physical aches, like I've got this little tightness on the QL side obliques here. So I'm fully present whenever I move, and that starts to yank at me a bit. So pain is a way to focus our minds. We are fully in this moment. So let's do it without pain, being fully in this present. Oh. And then coming to hands and knees. Draw your knees together, lift your right knee up, cross it behind the left, walk your feet out, tuck the toes, and begin to round cat-cow here. Ooh, and just notice, oh my gosh, what you begin to move around, how it's different. Squeeze the knees together and move the hips, really move them up. Otherwise, you might start dancing like Trump, and we know we got to move those hips, man. That is the weirdest image in the world, is it? Did you see that? I'm sorry. I'm providing trauma for Jill. Sorry. It's just bizarre. Come back in. Trevor Noah did a whole thing of Trump dancing. It's just like cross the other one behind you, recross, and try it there and see what happens. I'm fully present in this moment. Simple movement, nothing too complex, but just changing one thing can change the whole dynamics of the experience. One of my first yoga teachers said, change one thing, change everything. Change the position of the feet, changes the whole alignment of the body. And then release. Sorry, warm. All right, come back to toe tuck position, toe torture position. Tuck your toes, sit on them. So I call these, I always give credit, I'm a researcher, an academician, so we always credit people. So you can try this, Lele. Rather than doing that, see what happens when you put the blocks under your knees. That's what I call the Mary adaptation. She found this for me. That takes some of the push off the toes. Still, the knees are tight, huh? The biking, yeah, we just give it a go. You don't have to put a lot of weight there. All right, stretch the arms forward, turn the palms up and the fingers back. And you can come off your toes, which is nice. Claw the floor with the fingers, the hands, and pull the elbows back, like micro bend your elbows back in towards your hips to get a big stretch across the front, the inside of the wrist there. Untuck the toes, sit back on the heels. This may be enough. You may want to move the block out from under you if you've got it there. This may be enough to stretch the top of the feet, or you may want to move back and lift the knees a little bit, spread the toes to stretch the top of the feet more. For me, this feels really good. For your quads right now, Lele, that might not be just, there you go. You can do one side and then the other, right? Well, we'll be stretching some quads today, I think, is what's on the menu. You getting a cramp? And come back forward. All right, we'll do the thread the needle twist, and you can do it two ways. So you can do it from child's pose, knees wide apart, where we'll thread under, or you can do it with the hips over. Oh, yeah. So it just depends. If you don't want to put the head below the heart, then you do it from child's pose. Otherwise, do it from the puppy, butt up puppy pose. And pick a side. You've only got two sides, so chances are we'll make it to both. And then depending on the arm that's underneath, for me, it's my right arm. Tuck, if your right arm's underneath, tuck the toes of your left foot and stretch the left leg long behind you and walk it out to the left a little bit to create a bit of a tripod. Then push into the hand that's on the floor. So in this case, my left hand, because my right arm's underneath, and look up under through your left arm to twist. If you're feeling this in the head or neck, then don't do it as deeply. or turn the head, move the torso rather than the head. Then slowly draw your straight leg knee in with resistance. So you're lowering the left knee to the floor slowly. Oh, big stretch. Oh. And inhale, come back up to center. Wow, that side is healing me. All right, choose your next side. Hopefully it's the other side. Thread. In this case, I'm threading my left arm underneath. The left ear is on the, or left side of my head's on the floor. If that hurts your neck, go into child's pose with the knees wide apart. Right hand is pushing into the floor to help me not roll over and support. Then engage the core, lift the belly button into the spine, and wiggle and straighten the right leg and wiggle it a little bit out to the side. So you have a bit of a tripod, you're not in risk of falling over. And the straight leg toes are pushed into the earth, and you're pulling the toes towards your torso and pushing that heel away. Again, engaging the core. And using the right hand, the ribs spin up. The head may stay just neutral. Don't try to over twist it, but the ribs spin up. Now, keeping that, the right hip is lifted. Pull the right knee in for a landing, resisting. Like, don't let the right hip come down until the last minute. You can't help it. Oh, big stretch. Inhale, come up, come to hands and knees. Widen your table for dog and unfurl into dog. Walk your dog. Pedal it out. And I'm into Maria's wonky dog. I'm kind of liking it. All right, wonky dog is walk your feet out, sort of outer shoulder width apart. Hug the heels towards each other, bend your knees, and the knees track over the ankles, not to the inside, but over. So if you hug the heels towards each other, the knees will widen. Then the inner thigh, way back and wide apart, muscularly. You have to engage the core to do that. Tailbone lengthens if it's comfortable. Straighten the legs, otherwise keep them soft. And then lift high on your toes, lift the heels high, and rock to the heels to the right. So you're on the baby toe side of the right foot, inner edge of the left foot, but keep the shoulders square. Don't let them come with you. Inhale up and exhale to the other side. Settle in and do this with you at your own pace with the breath. Inhale, lifting, exhale, lowering, engaging. Core is working, heart is soft. So that's why we call it wonky dog, Lele. It's a little wonky. And as soon as you've done your last side, the second side for the last time, come back up, walk your hands back to your toes, forward bend at the back of your mat. Bow forward, or half forward bend or full. And do a little micro bend, micro straighten, right in the place that you feel the tightness. Meet the tightness with softness. So it's hard sometimes, when we're doing yoga, sometimes when we're doing poses that we're comfortable with, we really don't have to think about, our minds can drift. But as soon as we start to hit that edge, we snap into the present moment. And that's part of the practice. Snap in, snap out. Inhale, halfway up. Pause, settle, shrug your shoulders, lift the head of the arm bones. Wait for the next inhale. Use the legs, hinge from the hips, and rise up. And release. All right, take a strap. Jill, do you have a strap? Good. All right. So it was so chilly when I walked in here, and I almost thought about putting the heat on. I thought, just wait. So now, and I even thought about turning the fans off, and it's like, nah, I think not. Removing the air, even if it's chilly. All right, nice back bend. We'll work the shoulders today a lot to open the shoulders, because I feel like, I'm on this constant not the war against drugs so much, but the war against slumping. Because I just notice as we get older, if we don't watch it, it just starts to come in. All right, pull. So you're far enough apart that when you pull the elbows down, you're in right angle, a good cactus pose. And then steady the legs. Inner thighs move back and widen the inner thighs apart as you're pulling the heels together. Do you feel it's a seesaw principle? So if all I do is widen my inner thighs apart, the knees start to pull together. But if the heels pull in and the inner thighs move back and apart, we've got, now we're cooking. All right, and the knees can be soft or you can lengthen the legs, tailbone lengthens. Bottom ribs pull way, way down towards the hips and side ribs move back as you curl back. And then take the strap right behind the head, pull it out to where your arms are like, you can hold both hands together or just touch them together. The elbows most likely will not touch, but you're hugging them towards the midline, and then pull the head of the arm bones on the back, hug the shoulder blades on the back. Inner thighs move back and apart, tailbone down. Now, push the head into the strap as your hands are trying to push away from you here. Now I've lost it. Okay. Oh, and keep curling back, curl back, curl back. So the strap is preventing you from dropping your head back, but you're doing it from the upper back. Do you feel that? Big back bend. Yeah, nice. And release. I know, isn't that nice? All right. Lower it. Come to the wall. 1 second. Let me just adjust here. So there we go. All right. So if you back up to the wall, not quite to the wall, maybe a few inches. And again, so you've got space here. You're not touching in behind. You're probably about, if you take your hand and do this, the baby fingers touch the wall, the thumbs touch your bum. That's about an adjustment here. And then settle into the feet, draw up through the legs. The heels hug in as the shins press forward and the inner thighs move way back and apart. So the tailbone lengthens then. You lift up and curl back. So if you can, see if you can, it's cobra standing up. Do you notice this? Yeah. See if you can take the head of the arm bones to the wall and the back of the head to the wall. Now, my head of the arm bones won't go, but do you feel that lift? Yeah, nice. That looks good, Jill. Do you feel that? Feels kind of nice, right? So what the wall does, it's that notion of when I say move the center back of the head back, the feeling you get. So you're not dropping the chin or lifting the chin, it's moving in. Keep lifting the chest into this, away from the wall, into the center of the room. And then interlace the hands behind the back. Now push the arms into the wall. Oh yeah. And lift the chest away. Bottom ribs still pull down towards the hips. And release. I like that. Jill's staying in it. She likes it a lot. Oh, you wanted to switch. Yeah, so we're not, yes, definitely switch. All right, side to the wall. You guys can turn to face me and you'll be different arms, but it's okay. Put an arm up the wall and you're close to the wall. So you are fairly close to the wall. And the idea is this part of the armpit may not touch, sorry, but so in other words, you might be able to get this there, but if your shoulders are really tight, now, we're starting with 12 o'clock straight up, but if your shoulders, if you've got some impingement, it's uncomfortable, pull more towards 11, right? So you can pull it slightly forward. We are walking it back, but start wherever this feels pretty neutral. Like it's nice, but nothing huge is happening. And then with the outside hand, hold your ribs down and just remind yourself to pull the ribs away from the wall and down towards the hips. Engage your core, breathe, steady the legs from the soles of the feet all the way into the core of the pelvis. And take a breath and start to walk your hands back towards 1 o'clock. Just a little, maybe not, maybe it's 12:30. And breathe here. Just notice what's tight. Fully in the body. And then maybe if you're not feeling like pinching or hurting, you just come to your edge How far back? And you'll notice the farther back the arm goes, the more the ribs want to turn to the wall. All right, and release if you can. And shake off. Change sides. Lock it up. So again, you have some volume control. If it's really intense, you don't stand as close to the wall. If it's really intense and you stand away from the wall, then you can pull the arms slightly forward to, now this is 1 o'clock, so I've reversed my clock. You may be on the other side, but stretch it up to 12. And then walk it back about 2 minutes. The outside hand is on your ribs, pulling your ribs in, like twisting them towards the center of the room. And there's a little tug of war going on there. As soon as you walk it back another minute, then you want to turn towards the wall. So you find that edge and play there. Breathe into it. Relax the neck. Check to see if you're holding any tension there. And release. Do this one again at the wall, where you're standing a little bit away from the wall, the arms and interlace. Your second favorite, we didn't do it twice the first time, then you can switch. So the arms are on the wall, particularly the lower arms. Try to get the upper arms on the wall, in the center back of the head. Now you push into the wall with the arms and the head and lift the chest. That's a cobra pose. Everybody looks great because their chest, like their sternum here in class, both Lele and Jill, your sternum is almost parallel to the floor. That's it. You feel the opening in the upper back, but you should feel nothing in the low back. The low back's not taking this on. Oh, I love that. So that's a great one you can do during work hours, right? Just back up to a wall, do this, press the head into the wall. All right, come back to your mat. Let's get cranking. Take a wide stance facing me. Oh, blocks near you in case you need them. Feet parallel. First, hug the legs towards each other. Work the four corners of the feet, particularly the outside edges. And as you hug the heels in, move the knees out. Inner thighs move back, tailbone down, and then come, forward. That's gone all the way into, holy moly. I'm in the present moment here. Something just like connected to the sciatic, I think. Oh, right, hug in. Maybe that's what's going on. Oh, lengthen the spine. Keep working the legs. So for me, usually I can go down further, but because I got a little morning light and I listened, I'm up. You might be able to go down further, but the legs have to work a lot. Keep hugging the heels in, moving the inner knees apart, inner thighs move apart, tailbone down, lift the belly, and start to come forward. Halfway or deeper. Oh. Then knowing that injuries happen when we come out of poses like this, steady the legs, strengthen the legs, hug them in, use the core, come up halfway, hands on the hips, and press through the legs, push them out as you rise up. All right, turn your left toes out, the right foot still parallel to the short edge of the mat. Arms up. So your ribs are, the hips and the ribs, well, the hips are at a slight angle, but the ribs and the chest come back parallel with the long edge of the mat. Turn your palms up, pull the shoulder blades onto the back, so you're sucking the head of the armpit, head of the arm bone into the shoulder socket. Keep that and just turn the hands without changing anything. Scissor the legs, strengthen the legs as you bend the front knee. Look out over the left fingertips. And so on the inhale, push down, straighten the legs, and bring the arms overhead. Exhale, press heavy air down as you come back into Warrior Two. Inhale, back up. Exhale. And inhale. With steadiness.
One of us yesterday.
Who did, Caroline?
Caroline, so
Yeah.
Mary and I are.
All right. Well, we were thinking alike. All right. And then from here, with the knee bent, come into Parsvakonasana, side angle pose, forearm on the thigh. Take your block and put it behind right at the back of the heel. Light on the fingertips and take it high for now. You might want to do it lower later, but take it easy on yourself. The hands on the block, the legs bent. And exhale, straighten into a triangle. Inhale, back to Parsvakonasana, side angle. Exhale, straighten. Use so you're really working the legs, pressing down from the core of the pelvis into the feet and rising back up from into the core of the pelvis. Then the upper body is lengthened but easeful. So you're doing it with the breath. Exhale when you straighten the front leg. Inhale, bend. The next time it's bent, pause there. Come back up into warrior two. Place your right hand behind your head. Now you're in this nice archery. Isn't this very classic? There's a classic move. And start to turn the palm up and curl back. So push the head into the hand just as when you did it in the strap. Keep bending the front knee. Curl back, curl back, curl back. Beautiful. Wish I had a camera, guys. Inhale, rise up. I should have you on camera. And release. Shake it off. That was gorgeous. I love that pose. I just feel like it's some Roman frieze, right? All right. Side B, wide stance. So the first one is straight up and then warrior two, then we'll move down. All right. But I'm placing the block there for the ready. I don't need it for here. Just have it near you. All right, lift all 10 toes. Connect with the four corners of the feet. Watch the outside edge. So be fully present in the back foot because the tendency is to roll in. So you want to work the outside edge. Then as you hug the heels, so if the heels hug in, that means the front heel's moving towards me or towards the long edge of your mat, and the back heel is moving towards the front foot. Do you feel that with that hugging in? Inner thighs move back, tailbone down. Inhale the arms up and bring them all the way up. Next, exhale, come into warrior two. Inhale, push through the legs, lengthen the tailbone, use the glutes and rise up. Exhale, keep the glutes engaged, core is engaged, back down to two. Inhale, rise up. Exhale. So you're pushing heavy air down. There's a sweet resistance going on. Did we lock the door, Jill?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I didn't even pay attention. Good, good. No. All right. And then the next time you're in warrior two, elbow to the top thigh, hand on the hip for now. Just pause here a minute, settle in. Again, set the feet. The feet drag in towards each other. Inner thighs move way back and apart. Tailbone lengthens, and then you push the feet away from each other. So there's both a pull in and a push out. Really works the legs all the way up towards T12 even. All right. Reach the hand down towards the block. You're light on the block. It can go lower, but for me today, this is where I need to be. And as you exhale, straighten the leg into triangle pose. Hand stays on the hip for now, just working the legs, and then back to Parsvakonasana. Inhale, triangle pose. Exhale, Parsvakonasana. Let's stretch the arm up on triangle. I think we forgot this on the first side. And then over when you bend over. And then inhale, straighten. And exhale, really slow, resist. Push heavy air with the arm. Push heavy air with the legs. Resistance is good. Not so futile. And then come back up to warrior two, steady the legs, come into your archer pose, or this kind of an archer pose. I don't know why I call it archer. There's some classic move here. Mercury, archer, don't know. Turn the front palm up, keep the knee bent, and curl back, push the head into the hand, into the bent hand behind the head. Bend the front knee more, pull up out of your hips. Oh. Now I'm stretching that place. Use the legs as you inhale and come out. All right. All right. Melt your way down onto the floor. Have the blocks within reaching distance and come all the way onto your forearms. So this is just this was the position we had at the wall. You can, if it hurts in any way, the kneecaps or the feet, you can keep the feet tucked, the toes tucked. Or if you untuck them, spread the toes, click the baby toenail down onto the floor. And then as you hug the heels towards each other, the inner thighs still lift up towards the ceiling and widen the inner thighs. A little harder to find here. Then the tailbone lengthens, the belly button engages. Push the forearms into the earth and pull the elbows back, stretch the heart forward. Push the back of the head into the imaginary wall, not by lifting the chin, but by using the whole upper body to push back. Good. Release a bit. Draw your left knee up and can pat it with a blanket underneath it. If it hurts on the floor, I've got this big lily pad, so I'm fully padded in all 360 here. I like this. All right. And then notice that the ribs rotate towards the knee, the bent knee. So rotate the ribs back to the right if your left knee is up, so that you're essentially squaring to the short edge of the mat. And breathe here. And then we'll do the thread the needle here. Slide the right arm underneath you, left leg bent, right arm. You can use a block under your head so it's not hanging down, or supported on your hand, depending on, so that the head neck is neutral. It's not so much hanging. You can rest it on a fist or a hand, find something that works for your shoulder height. And breathe here. So this is a little easier twist. It's a good stretch for the shoulder. Not such an intense stretch twist. The other one, not so much. All right, inhale your way back up to center. Now thread your left arm through. So if your left knee is bent, the left arm threads through. I need this. Roll to as much of the outer left shoulder as you can. The head's just neutral. It can turn or face down. Play with what works for you. And then the right hand slides up and bends the elbow bends, and you press into your right hand as you get a little deeper into the twist. Oh, yeah. Explore some new places. But the reason we want to practice this presence as we move, so we don't hurt anything. You're fully present when you come out, as you come out on your inhale. And then stretch back both legs, rest your forehead on your hands, and windshield wiper the legs. Come back to side B. Come up onto your forearms. Slide your right knee up. So it's about a right angle at the ankle, the knee, and the hip, like a froggy leg. Frog legs actually are not right angles, are they? They're kind of bent in. Use your imagination. All right. So just settle here. So on this side, I feel a little more impingement in the low back. So there's a couple of things I can do. I can lower the knee down so it doesn't come quite so far up to the hip, but mostly work the legs. So engage through the legs, hug muscles onto the bones of the legs. Inner thighs, particularly the straight leg inner thigh, moves up to the ceiling. and it widens apart, and the tailbone really digs down and down towards the heels and towards the floor, then the belly button lifts up into it and soften the heart and pull up. Press the head into the imaginary wall behind you. And now slide your left arm underneath you. Rest your head on a block or your hand, depending on your shoulders, actually. What makes the neck feel neutral, like it's not hanging down or lifting up. And breathe here. This is where I enjoy this stretch because I know the next one's so much harder for me. It's like wringing out a washcloth. You wring it out one way, inhale your way back up. Oh, yeah, and then the rubber meets the road here. All right, you may have to turn the block up. For me, this side's much tighter. Bend your left arm, press the left hand on the whole palm on the floor. Still working the legs, they're not taking a break. Tailbone down, belly button lifts. Oh, deepen the twist. Holy moly. Then find the breath here. So in a twist, the breath can get squeezed. It's harder to let it flow. Inhale your way up and push back to a child's pose. Rest your forehead on a block or your hands, knees wide apart, toes together. This is where, in normal days, I'd come around and do a back press to lengthen the low back. Oh, that would feel so good. Inhale your way back up. Come to sandbags for that. Yes, we could if we could get them up there, but we'd probably torque our back trying to pull up. Jill suggested sandbags. And it's like, yeah. And at home, if you guys don't have a sandbag, next time you go to Costco or something, get a 10-pound bag of cheap rice or beans and put it in a pillow slip. And it's 10 pounds. So to go somewhere where they have 2 5-pound bags, I don't know. Put it in a pillow slip and there you have it. All right, turn and sit back. So reverse table. The classic way to do this is with your fingertips towards your hips. That may be too intense on your wrist or your shoulders. So you can turn the hands out a bit. If you have to turn them out, way out, that's fine, but keep trying to turn them in as much as you can. Claw the floor. The hands are strong, and hug the shoulder blades into the back, lift the back. Remember what we did at the wall. You guys had that great lifted chest, and the head is pressing against the strap or the wall that we had. Whew. Press the feet into the floor, lift the hips. Keep clawing with the hands, hug the shoulder blades on the back, lift your chest, and the head's neutral. It's neither totally forward nor hanging back. It's just supported. Imagine it's supported with the strap. Lift the hips a little more. Pull the heels back towards the hands. Engage the glutes, the hamstrings. Exhale. Lower. Oh, I haven't done that in a while. Do a slumpasana, wide diamond, soles of the feet together. Oh, and stretch forward. Oh, you finding it too? Did we lose you, Lele? I'm finding it. Boy, I am not, stretching the side. Let's do one more of those. You can do it regular, or we can get fancy. So again, if this is hurting your wrist, there's a couple of things you can do. You can turn your fingers out, but you can also take a little edge of a blanket. I have these little rest your here. That's a little high for me, but sorry. Blanket holding. Just enough of a padding can help. It reduces this angle a bit. I actually like the pain, but, and then also the other thing you can adjust, you don't want your hands really close in behind you. You want them, also don't want them here. more about outer shoulder width apart, right? A little wide, micro bend the elbows. Yeah, mat width, depending on your mat, not her mat, because, well, you're broad shouldered, so you could do that. Just depends, but wide enough, find it. Bend the elbows, claw the floor, hug the elbows towards each other to lift the chest. Now press the feet into the earth, pull the heels back as you lift the hips. The inner thighs sink towards the floor and widen as you lengthen the tailbone and lift the hips. And then if you want to be fancy, walk your feet towards each other and play Cirque du Soleil. Oh, that cramps the hamstring. Try it again. Woo. Wow. And come down. If you want to stay up, I will watch. And slump it over. Oh. Oh. Yeah. So all that shoulder work I tried to do in the beginning, that's a big shoulder rotation to pull that out and over. But it feels so good to do that. All right. A little dessert for you here. Take your 2 blankets or bolster. Layla, you have the bolster, so keep that. Use that instead. If you've got a bolster, use the bolster. 2 blankies. You need another blanket, Jill? Okay. Stacked on top. And then just take a lie over. So the hips and the head of the arm bone are even distance from the floor. So if you have a long torso, both your hips and this outer armpit will be on the floor. For me, because I'm a little shorter torso, I have a little bit of weight, a little bit of air under the hip and a little bit of air under the shoulder. And then stretch your top arm over and pull with the bottom hand. You can walk the feet apart a bit. Top leg goes forward to the front edge of the mat and the back leg moves back towards the back edge. And breathe. If you've got an extra blanket, you can always slide it between your bottom arm and your head. Breathe the ribs. And then half beach babe with the top arm. If you haven't walked your top leg forward, do so to the front edge of the mat, and the back leg walks back as far as the front leg walks forward. So the front leg tends to go really far, but walk the back leg back as well. That helps you keep your hips stacked on top of each other. Then scissor the legs like you're trying to pull the feet together. As you lengthen out from the core of the pelvis, push the head into the hand and curl back. The ribs spin towards the ceiling, but the hips do not come back with you. Keep pressing into the feet and scissoring them together. The top leg forward helps you keep from rolling back. Nice big opening. Can support your head if you want both. Full beach babe, if that supports right now, that feels better on my neck. With both hands behind the head. Push the head into the hands, just as we did into the strap, into the wall, and open the heart towards the ceiling. Press out through the top leg to stretch it out. And inhale. Draw it in. I recommend rolling, drawing the knees in, curling in, and pushing up. Or you can roll over and flop to the other side. I just have to flip all the way to the other side so I can. All right, center yourself. So a lot of times people put a shoulder up on the blanket and you don't want your shoulders on the blanket or your hips. You want to be just arced over. Support yourself here. If you need a blanket between the bottom arm, or you can bend your bottom arm and rest it behind you. That gives you a little bit of lift here. Stretch the top arm up. And if you're feeling like you're tipping over, you can already walk the top leg forward and the back leg back about mat width. So your feet are about mat width apart even. And then pull the top arm, big stretch. I haven't done this in so long. Missed it. And then keeping that either half beach babe or full beach babe, depending on what your neck needs. Push, the legs are strong, scissor them together. The inner thighs are still moving back and the tailbone lengthens. Gauge the core, push your head into your hands and begin to open the heart to the ceiling, keeping the hips stacked right on top of each other. Don't let them roll back. And you do that by really engaging the front leg and pulling the inner edge of the front foot back towards your bottom leg, your back leg. Keep relaxing the head into the hands. Don't let this be a neck thing. Just a deep, deep twist stretch with the legs engaged so you're not pinging the low back. If you feel this in the low back, it mostly means that your legs gave up and your core gave up. So you have to come out of it a little bit, reset, and don't go as deeply. And release. Draw your knees in, roll to your side, and press up. Yeah, right? The deep stuff. All right. Lie all the way on your back. Give yourself a little child's pose on your back. Draw your knees in and just rock side to side. Let's ride the Harley a bit. So the right cross, remember when we crossed our knees behind the legs behind each other in table, you're doing the same thing. So the right leg is over the left. The heels are down by your bum. Don't lift them yet. Draw your knees in enough to place your hands on top of your knees. And then draw the knees into the chest enough to slide your hands down your shins and hold somewhere on the outside of the legs. Now let the knees come away from the hips so your low back curve comes back. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. Drop the belly button to the spine. You may say, this is plenty. You can also use a strap to hold on to the ankles if you need that. Flex your feet so the knees are protected. And then this is your volume control. You can lift the shins towards the ceiling as long as your shoulder blades stay on your back. And you hug the knees towards each other. You can draw the knees in to the extent you can keep your back waist somewhat lifted, at least energetically lifted. Belly button drops to the spine. Ride it. And how much you lift your feet, the shins parallel to the floor, is also a bit of volume. You can get more intensity there. But keep drawing the head of the arm bones onto the back. We tend to pull out of the shoulder socket here, so that's where straps can be helpful. And then release. Arms in a T position, keep the legs where they are, right leg over the left, and drop the leg unit over to the left. The feet will touch the floor, most likely the knees will not. The left hand can be a counterweight on the outside of the top knee, the right knee, and then begin to snuggle your shoulder blades back on your back and spin your ribs to the right as the legs and the low belly are spinning to the left. Inhale back up to center and release. Do a little windshield wiper. And then cross your left leg all the way over the right, tight cross. Draw your knees up. You will flatten the back to do this for a moment. Hands on top of your shins, slide them down as far down the legs as go, or lasso them with a strap or two. Flex your feet. Pull the ankles towards the shoulders as the knees come away from the chest so you can get a low back curve. Then snuggle the shoulder blades onto the back. Side ribs move down towards the floor. Keep pulling the ankles towards your shoulders as the knees squeeze together. Knees can come pretty far away from the chest. That helps you. You don't want to flatten the low back here. Drop your belly button to your spine. Holy camole. And breathe. And release. Arms in a T position. The legs drop over towards the right. Feet are on the floor, maybe, at least the bottom one is, top one may not be. The right hand can be a counterweight. As the knees and the low belly are moving to the right, the ribs and the heart are moving towards the left, with the core, the belly engaged. And inhale your way back up. Feet on the floor, about hip width apart, knees bent. This is the Jill move. I love this one. It's my new favorite one. Is it? All right. So the right knee, you open it out, and then you slide the knee so it's pointing down towards the short edge of the mat. And the right heel comes as close to the left buttocks as you can get it. You may or may not be able to touch your foot with the right foot with the left hand. That's fine. And then engage the right foot, really spread through the toes and stretch from the core of the pelvis all the way out through the right knee. So Lele, this is a good quadricep stretch without being too intense. You feel it? So if you can hold on to the foot with the other hand, that's fine, do it. There's some volume controls here too. You can do whatever you want. One of Jill's versions is to pick up the left leg and just lightly hold the top of the left knee and keep stretching. So the right knee will want to pop up. You keep stretching the bottom knee, the right knee, towards the wall, and it will not go to the floor, but towards the floor. And then what I like is to just rest my left foot on the inner edge of the right knee and push the right knee up into the foot, not enough to lift it, but to resist being pushed down and stretch out from there. So play with it. I love variations. Oh yeah. Then even adding a little bit more, the right arm can stretch all the way up. Left hand can pull the right wrist for a big, long stretch. Always places to go. And release. Ah. Notice the difference between the two sides. That's sweet. All right, so let the left knee drop out and then slide the left foot as close to the right bum as you can. You might be able to hold it. You may even hold it with a strap if you want to. That's not required, but it's an option. And then just from there, just hold it here. Spread the toes of the toes of the left foot. Engage the left foot, protects the knee. And from the core of the pelvis, send the energy out through the left thigh and stretch like you're lengthening the thigh bone. Stretch the knee towards the wall that the knee's pointing to, and then start to move it towards the floor. Open it out. If you feel this in the low back, you either lift the knee and engage the core more, or don't drop the knee as far. So there's some action here. And then the variations again, drawing the right knee in without rolling to the left. So you want to keep both sacrums evenly weighted on the floor, and draw the right knee in. Keep stretching the left knee long. So the tendency when the right knee pulls in is for the left knee to release. You keep some engagement in it. And then the other option is for the right foot to be on the inside of the left knee, push the knee into the foot, have a little tug of war there. You might even begin to get that leg, the left leg, down towards the floor a tiny bit more. It's not the huge goal. If this hurts the knee, you open the angle in the knee. You still get a good stretch. Stretch the left arm up, the right arm takes the left wrist and pulls. So pull from the core of the pelvis, send the energy out through the left knee, and from the core of the pelvis, send it out through the crown of the head and the left fingertips. Big, long stretch. And release. So for final relaxation, you choose regular Shavasana, supported bridge pose, or fish pose on the blocks. Fish pose is with the blocks on a T position. You remember, Layla? So if you feel like you want more of that open chest work that we were doing, You can set it this way, or you can set it this way. Or do regular, wonderful, original Shavasana. I guess that's what this would be called, right? It's Suman. He's coming in with Bella. And begin to deepen your breath. Invite gentle movements, stretching, yawning, a leisurely way of waking. Gradually bend your knees, roll to your side, and rest there for a moment. Be fully present in this moment. Thich Nhat Hanh has a mantra that says, present moment, wonderful moment. To just sit and say that to yourself over and over. Rolling a little more towards the floor. Use the strength of your arms to press up to a seated position and sit well. Draw your palms together in front of the heart center. Namaste. Thank you, guys. Thanks.